Good morning, Daniel.
Morning.
Molly. Wow. So lots to talk about yet again. Event three in Houston and in Kansas City, and then some news from the NPL.
And I think we should just go right into it.
Yeah, yeah. I guess the big news is that Murcha is not going to be playing for Boca anymore.
By the time people see this, you realize it won't be such big news.
Yeah, but I think it'll still be. It's still a big event. I mean, it's monumental that they won last year, and
Yes.
he's stepping aside now.
If it's not working for a team, I think it's good they can make a change. The owner stepped up, and I mean, you don't want a whole team n not happy. I think it's too bad for the league. Like, I think that, we want the strongest players in the league. So I think it's unfortunate to lose Mircea for the NPL for sure.
It's
Yeah. I mean, and it could be a mutual agreement,
sure. Yeah,
I just
yeah,
think it's unfortunate on both ends. Like
yeah,
the NPL losing Mircea and Boca losing Mircea, like that's unfortunate.
yeah.
He's a strong player and he made a big impact last year.
For once in my life, I'm going
Daniel?
to sit out of a topic because I think I'm too close to it in the sense of I'm very close with the guys from Boca, obviously. And I have a real affinity for Murcha, who's helped me a lot. So I'm going to abstain from any comments for once in my life
Wow,
on
this
about
is weird.
it is. And I'm just going to say I'm unhappy. I'm upset for everybody involved because I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I love Boca as a team. I love the guys on Boca, all of them, and I have the utmost respect for Murcher as well and everything that he tries to do and stands to try and help everybody with their games and everything. So I think it's just a very unfortunate set of circumstances that's got to this place. And like I said, when you have such massive respect for everybody involved, it's just like I said. I think sometimes you just got to take a deep breath and just let these things play themselves out and just say it's actually a sad day all round because
Yeah.
yeah.
he's an outstanding player and his knowledge of the game is and his science of the game is outstanding.
Yeah.
And again, and all the guys on the Boca team and the ownership are just outstanding as well. And sometimes it's like a marriage. Sometimes the best of people and the best of marriages, for different reasons, just don't work out, and it doesn't mean you can't all be friends afterwards and life doesn't go on. But you know what? I think it's a sad day.
So, should we talk about KC first?
Well, do we
Yeah.
talk about how
Well,
you
let's
tried to
talk.
get rid of your star player too this week?
How
I
I
mean,
tried to what?
no, I mean you basically someone basically took down Scotty Fliegelman. I mean the man's
I,
in a
I
wheelchair.
know the man's in a wheelchair and he survived the airport. Like I wheeled him through and all is well. He's home safely in Boulder. Spoke with him yesterday and he's doing really well. It's out of the wheelchair. No, in all fairness, we think 99% sure he'll be in Austin. So it looks good for the Iconics.
That's excellent news.
Yeah.
That's a huge scare. I mean, to go from
Yeah.
having Gina just being out for this one and then to have Scott go down, that's devastating.
Yeah, we had luckily Stan, the man, was in Houston and he was an iconic and he just jumped into pod one, maybe a few nerves the first game, but then 11-10 against Tao and
Denver.
Helen. So
Oh, and
great game.
oh,
Yeah. And
wow.
then he stepped into pod two and won with Rich and then had a close three-game match with Janie was his partner. So he was
Wow.
great, great energy, great guy, and just he was ready to go. So it was fun. But we came up short again, just.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can also talk about predictions, like hits and misses with the predictions. And I said that it was an anomaly that Denver would never go 0 and 4 again. But I think, given what you were facing with injury and absences, that it's just and again, it some of those were still super close. So you had 8-4 against Naples, you had 7-6 against Austin, 8-4 Houston, and then what was your last one?
I believe it was 7-5. We were fighting to get that 6-6, so maybe beat them on points. But I believe that we lost 7-5.
To Indy.
Yeah. So who got second in KC?
Princeton got second. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's right, Princeton.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
have some
That's a
results.
good
So
showing for Princeton.
Great showing for Princeton. So two teams went 3-1. Seattle, we lost Saturday morning to Boca pretty handily. I mean, 8-4. Multiple matches went to 3, but still, again, we had beaten them. They were shorthanded in LA. We beat them. They beat us nicely Saturday morning, so we were off to a rough start. So we ended up going 3-1. Princeton went 3-1, but just based on games won. We beat them in the head-to-head, but it comes down to games won. We managed to squeak that out, I think, by 1 game. It came down to the very last match on Sunday afternoon, which was really fun. And it was Maggie Fields and Tom Tueller who pulled that out in a mixed match to give us the weekend win. Coachella, Boca, and Columbus all went 2-2. So
We should probably stop the results at this point.
Yeah, like that's all that really,
We don't, because I know what comes next. and we
KC
don't want to
was
talk about it.
gracious hosts. They were gracious hosts. Were there a lot of team breakers this weekend in
yeah, so
KC?
in KC there were 4 matches that were either 7-5 or 7-6. There were Seattle and Columbus had a team breaker. Boca and Princeton had a team breaker. And then there were 2 matches that were 7-5.
Kansas and Columbus had a team breaker.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Columbus then ended up having 2 team breakers. And
Yes,
then,
they did.
Yeah.
Austin played 3
team breakers.
3 straight team breakers.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that.
Oh, it was crazy. Well, ours was not very competitive. Like, I don't know. We've been on point with team breakers, Denver has. And Austin played a strong breaker, and they beat us, I think, like 11-4, 11-5 maybe. Indy. So I think it was their 3rd team breaker. It was on Sunday morning. They were 2-0 in team breakers. So they were going for 3-0 in team breakers. And they were up 9-4. Rich and Furman came in, and they got it all the way back to 9-9. Like they went on a crazy run, 9-9. And then Austin got the ball back at 10. So then Furman and Rich went out 10-9. And then I don't know who came in for Austin. It was a switch, and Austin ended up winning it 11-9. But it was good because it was a good comeback by Rich and Furman.
I think we have to show some love to my ex-teammates at Austin and say winning 1 tiebreaker is hard enough. Winning 2 in a row is virtually impossible. And winning 3, you can't even comprehend how you win 3 in the same weekend.
Yeah. They won 3.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, I don't. And I feel like the first, maybe they beat OKC.
So they had their team breakers were Houston, Denver, Indy, and then they lost to OKC 5-7. So that
okay, it's a lot of pickle.
I didn't look at the detailed matches, but undoubtedly a couple of those were close enough to have had them on the.
I think what clearly came out of week 3's matchups is that a lot of teams are definitely figuring out lineups and rotations and combinations. We haven't even touched on Naples, who won week 3, and talk about going from 0 to hero in overnight. I mean, they were unstoppable the weekend. What a great effort from them, and certain pairings, that they moved some things around, I believe, and really dominated their weekend. Austin coming through again. I mean, you've lost 1 match 5-7 otherwise.
That is amazing for Austin to have had 3 team breakers and then a 5-7 against OKC. Psychologically, a team breaker is an added layer of exhaustion.
It's mentally very taxing.
Sometimes I think it energizes you.
Well, if you come out on top, which they did, so maybe maybe they were just flying high after 3 team breakers.
You say that, but I actually think that CB, you're right, and I have to disagree with you, young Molly, because I'm going to tell you why. Week 1 in California, when we beat OKC in a tiebreaker, we then won our next match. We then came into you guys on the second morning, and we lost the tiebreaker. Had we won that tiebreaker, I think we would have gone 4-0 that weekend. I think, and the come down from losing the tiebreaker, I don't think we recovered from it in our next match. So I actually think remember, it's not like there's a break and you can go go home, have a shower, forget about it, come back the next day. It's okay. Maybe grab a sandwich and you're back into the thick of it. And it does. And I think it carries over how close you were to getting that W on the board, and you've got no time to digest it or process it, and you're back out again. I think it has a bigger effect than you probably realize.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the key is trying to get those 7 points so you don't have to go do
Right.
a team breaker.
I mean, because there's the mental energy leading up to it, where it's like, we're at 5-3, we're 5-4. Even before you get to the team breaker, you're trying to get to 7.
It adds to the action. I think that, the thing about the tiebreakers, all teams, whether you're playing or not, want to be around the court to watch a tiebreaker.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fun.
Oh, it's so fun. It's so
Which,
fun watching it.
which I think
You
then
kind
leads
of
us.
are secretly rooting for a team. Nobody's rooting like outright. Except I will admit, when you hit that jizzy forehand, like I did get I got a little excited.
We're friends because of a forehand.
Yeah, we're friends because
I
of
mean,
forehand.
if I don't hit that forehand, I bet you I'm not hit today.
No.
I feel like the third event, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm interested to hear your takes on it, is the honeymoon's over. The first two events are like, yay, new team, love, love, love all around. And then the third event, it's like, little bits of friction start to show up. A little fatigue shows up because it's midsummer and vacations and tournaments and such. And so I think there's always a bit of a gap or a lull for most teams. I would expect events 3 and maybe even 4.
I didn't feel that at Kansas. I felt that, I didn't feel like we had a lull. I think actually, funny enough, I mean, maybe because we were the home team, we had, such tremendous home support. So it felt even more energized than possibly the first 2 weeks, even though, funnily enough, ultimately it was our poorest results. And of course, we suffered an injury to the great David George, which there is a rumor out there that I Tonya Hardinged him. Is the rumor on the street. I can neither confirm nor deny that I took him down for my own personal gain, and now I'm have a vested interest in him actually never playing pickleball ever again.
I mean, like a little team support.
KC, similarly to the experience of Denver, they're the host team. They go 0-4, but it was injuries, big injuries to Scott Johnston, David George, obviously. So Daniel Gold gets pulled up into pod 1. There are 3 lefties on the court against Seattle with Daniel, Kelly Ojeda, and Brian Baker. Porticaco was the only righty on the court. But great matches.
It was a lot of fun getting to be on those courts with those guys.
I mean, David should be worried.
You can say it. You can say it. I definitely outplayed what David George would have done had he been there. I mean, we all know it. I mean,
we don't know that.
Oh no, we know it.
2 lefties is confusing.
It is confusing.
By the way, we figured if we didn't know what was going on, they wouldn't know what was going on.
No, for sure.
And you clearly at times didn't know what was going on.
And it was tricky. I mean, to be fair, it is tricky because, of course, you want to do your best as the guy and take as much of the court as you can. And, of course, being left-handed and trying to help Kelly as much as I could with what she needed to maximize her game. You're always going to find that one of you is not quite where you'd like to be at some important moments. And she was outstanding and just an amazing person.
She played great.
Oh, she was
She's
just
great to play with.
What am I thinking? Because that was true for men's as well, because you're playing with lefty Daryl. So again, 2 lefties on the court playing Brian Baker and Youssef. So Youssef was the odd man out as the only righty on the court. So
I think, honestly, if you get to play doubles with Darryl Wyatt, you could probably have a frying pan in your hand and still look good. I mean, his level of ability is frightening. Let's just say that, like I said, David George is available for any team that's going to need him. And should David find himself fit when we get to Austin, I would tend to say should probably watch his back or at least another one of his knees or legs.
I was going to say that earlier. David, you might want to hire some security because,
Because Daniel Gold is stalker level in love with Daryl Wyatt.
Oh, for sure.
It's an unhealthy relationship. Now I might need counseling. Listen, it's like being allowed into a secret club. Once you're let in, you don't ever want to leave.
The Daryl Wyatt fan club.
Just in general, you play at the highest level. You get to play in Pop 1, you get to play those games, you get to play on center court. It's sort of why we all work really hard in practice is to challenge yourself at the highest level. And once you have, it's very hard to not want to do it every single solitary day, moment.
That was a bummer because I think it was Danny's first time playing pod 1 with Scott. And I believe they were up 10-6. And then Scott blew his calf. Oh. So then we switched up the lineup and I played with Danny in pod 1 mixed against Painter and maybe Amy.
Blumrosen?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So that was a fun match because that was technically his first full match in Pod 1.
I was hoping you'd say that you stepped in to finish the men's match.
I know. Dang it.
Listen, Danny's got the one trait that you can't teach people. His mental toughness, and his ability not to feel pressure is, never mind his skill set, is just an incredible attribute to have because, when you play sports at that incredibly high level, things like this don't phase you. You just enjoy the experience. And Danny's never going to let anybody down.
What do you think it would be like if the NPL could do trades?
Oh
Do you
my
think
God.
there'd be trades
I
going
think
on?
it'd be awesome.
It would be great.
I think that would be absolutely an outstanding. By the way, then maybe there should be like a trade deadline, but maybe like up to the first three rounds. But it would be an
Right.
amazing thing to. By the way, for multiple reasons, but one, just because certain people don't necessarily work out with certain people.
Right.
Mm.
Your matchup that you think is going to work, it doesn't, and we'll give you so and so for so. Like it might
Yeah.
be an interesting thing to look into.
I think that's genius.
So, are you saying I'm a genius or just that's genius?
That's another tough one. I mean, I've got to now. I mean, the glasses do make you look smarter, to be fair.
They do.
Yeah, they really
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we know you better, but you do look intellectual for a brief moment.
Yeah. Pretty smart today.
Yes. Okay.
OKC was tough this weekend,
Well,
and
yeah.
they took him down. We didn't play him this weekend.
Who was it who
Truly-
predicted that OKC were gonna rock?
Well, I did want to cover predictions, yes, because you were all about OKC love. I mean, Molly, just imagine if Daryl Wyatt and Danny Warfel played for OKC. I mean, he'd be beside himself with how much love
He might trade himself.
he would trade. He would go crawling to Mark.
You know what it is?
Miller
Listen,
and Carroll and
I have
Beth.
nothing. Again, look, I keep telling you, there are people in our league now who were drafted and even undrafted and then drafted, who are not just making impressions on the league, they're dominating in our league. And you know what? I think it's important to when we do this to actually, mention these people, and because it's so much more than being able to play our game, to be able to come into our league as a lowly draft pick and then dominate in pod 1. And OKC have 2 of them on their team,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to apologize for continually celebrating what Toki and Blake Arrington and Blake are doing. And I think, like I said, I think there's players on every team all over the league, who've come in this year who are doing amazing things. I appreciate people that do things well, and I'm a great admirer when you get to walk around our league and just watch from a distance the skill sets and the abilities of so many of our colleagues that play in this league. It's a privilege to sit back and look at some of the things people do. I mean, I say, one of the ladies that plays on Columbus, for example, and I'm going to apologize, I don't know her first name, but I know her last name is Gillis, who plays with Steve Emmons. I mean, never having seen her play before, she has the most beautiful set of strokes. And you watch and you admire somebody, and people do playing sports at our age at that high level, and you watch the ability, and you got to walk up to them afterwards and go, that was amazing. And then Maggie Fields that played for Princeton, and she won her match against our team, and I felt compelled to go up to her. Correct. Sorry, she played for Seattle. I'm sorry. And I went up and afterwards it was like, you were amazing. That is seriously amazing ability. And you see how the level. Sorry.
It's fun to watch everybody in the league.
And that's the point, and as much as it might hurt my own team, you have to admire the strength and depth of our league and how far down it goes when you're watching people playing. Like literally, you just stand there and go, that was fantastic. I mean, another girl on your team, and I got to give a shout out to Julie Heitman. I mean, I watched Julie play some points again against Kansas. And after it was all said and done, and I'd waited, and I went up and I literally had to put my arms around and say, that was ridiculous. I mean, she did some things that were just spectacular. They weren't good. They were spectacular. And you realize just, how privileged we are, like I said, to get to keep this company once a month. And I wish we could do it every day is really what I think I feel.
Kudos to you, Daniel, for going up and doing that too, because playing for Seattle, I know that Maggie and Julie both struggled at times this weekend just with different things.
Mhm.
And so to hear something like that from you, from somebody they don't know, from somebody they just
Mhm.
happen to be watching, again, I think it encapsulates what NPL is about because you're less inclined to do that at a tournament when you're focused about your own matches. But it meant a lot to both of them that you mentioned something to them. So very cool.
Back to Naples. We were down 0-3. They were up 3-0. So I kind of hopped on the Naples bandwagon and started. I wanted them to go 4-0. Car just owes me a 6 pack of beer because they did. They won.
Tell me one of the adjustments that Chris Carges did to help her team win.
Well, I don't.
We're talking about one of the best female players of the last, you know, 5, 6, 7 years. What did she do to help her team?
Well, I think like you've got to look at what's going on and see where they're falling short. And she was solid as a rock in pod two this weekend. And she was a leader in pod two and made a huge difference there for sure.
But there are people that would never allow themselves to go from pod one to pod two voluntarily and then step up to the role and lead by example to bring their team
I
where they
think
need to go.
I think actually more because it's become such a team atmosphere and because I think now we're going into the third, the fourth week. You feel this like, what can I do for my team? Who can I play with? Where can I be best at? I think that NPL has created more of a team and more of the egos are shedding of what I can do for my team. And I think it's a perfect example of what I can do for my team, regardless of my ego. But I do think that it's getting more common in the NPL because you want your team to win.
Well, I think it's that, but I think it also reflects the parity in the league because Chris Cargis, Melissa LeBlanc, Mary Helen, it's like Coachella having multiple pod one level gals as well. They have Sabrina, they have Stacy, they have Kara, so I think so many teams have so many, and I'm just naming the few that come to mind immediately. There are others. I think there's Daniel Gold who can be playing pod one at KC, and there's
So when you say, I think we'll always now, right? Always.
but
I
I'm
think
serious.
here's the thing: if David George sees pod one again, he's lucky.
What? Who?
I'm not disagreeing, Daniel. I do think, I think it's enormous to put the ego aside, and it also just shows the parity in the league. So
It'll be interesting next year as well, fun enough, because I think you both have made an excellent point, and maybe more so than I was even taking into account. That of course the team has made a lot of people more selfless, and I think it now shows the sort of people the league wants to have as it grows the brand and it expands. The type of individuals that should be around the league and in the league on a yearly basis. Because for me, being selfless was always something I was brought. You play a team sport. If they need you to get the water or fetch a towel, that's what you do if it helps your team win. But a lot of people don't see it that way. And I was always told, if you don't want to play in a team, play tennis or golf. Now, of course, we're playing in a team with exactly that way. In theory, a lot of us came from the iitis world. Tennis is very much a solo sport. You're on your own.
Yeah, I think that's why maybe a lot of us are thriving in this because growing up we played tennis and it was such an individual sport and it's so fun being on a team. I mean, I think that so many of us played college tennis and it reminds everyone of the atmosphere of college tennis. But to be on a team where every point is the same. Like it doesn't matter if you're playing pod one, pod two, pod three, every point is just as important. And it brings a strong, like it's fun being part of a team. And it's interesting because I bet the majority of us in that room are used to being individuals.
Back to Naples though, I
back to my 6-pack that I won, Cargis.
Back before Daniel had joined us, I predicted Naples. I mean, they have picked some talent. And so I think they're figuring out what pairings work and what don't. And we saw that with 4-0 in Houston. And OKC, your beloved, did great. Their only loss being to Naples, and that was a close one, 5-7. Otherwise, they beat Indy 8-4, they beat Houston 7-5, they beat Austin 7-5. So still all very close. But
listen, I am fanboying over a couple of other teams now. I have to say, it's not just OKC that I fanboy over. I do actually fanboy over your tsunami. I think that there's some incredible talent on that team, and I definitively fanboy over the Coachella team as well. I think they've done an outstanding job again of putting some players that I've never laid eyes on before on a team who are absolutely outstanding, fantastic. I don't think it's a coincidence that you saw this weekend certain teams really have strong showings, and I think it's what you said at the beginning of our chat was, weeks 1 and 2 is touchy feely, and by week 3 you know exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, it's probably going to be more like week 4 for Denver. Like we know what we want to do, so that we're waiting to peak like 4, 5, 6.
We have a guest on the podcast. Should I just press play and see what she says? Like we don't even know what she's going to say.
Let's see. Let's press it.
We go live, ladies and gentlemen, to Sherry Quarter,
the keeper of the beef.
Instead of headburn porn, we should do Daniel's golden moments. I
got to be honest with you. I like Sherry a lot, obviously, and now I just think that she's magnificently smart and pretty and a genius. And I think it's a great idea. We should have gold porn.
Golden moments, headburn porn.
CB, is there anything that you have of Sherry's that you'd like to share with us?
Like, just
I'm just saying.
It's
look,
fine.
our viewers.
You're taking good care of it. You might even trim it up for her. Like,
listen. To be fair, our viewers, if we want to grow our viewership, don't just want to hear about 50-plus-year-old pickleball. They want to hear that you currently are looking after Sherry Quarter's beaver. Can you confirm or deny that you currently have in your possession Sherry Quarter's beaver?
And can you show it? Just real quick.
Can you show us? Can you show us Sherry's beaver? There, ladies and gentlemen, if you are tuning in, is Sherry Quarter's beaver.
So just to be clear, Sherry does take this. She packs it with her for tournaments.
It's new. The panda also goes.
It was at the U.S. Open, right?
I got an elephant at the U.S. Open.
Okay, yeah.
Then I got her a panda for NPL when we're not together.
Nice.
And she felt like she needed a beef to bring. Like, that's fine.
Who doesn't?
So let me just...
So, Molly, you can confirm that Sherry has a stuffed panda now from you and a stuffed beaver that she packs with her and takes to
That's correct.
NPL and tournaments. And so Sunday afternoon, we had just finished playing Princeton. The staff is tidying up the venue. Most of the teams had actually already filtered out, like matches were done. And one of the guys at SW19, the venue, came up and said, he had an NPL towel and said, do you have any idea whose this is? And I said, I don't need the towel, but I'm taking that beaver.
I do believe it's been trimmed.
It's been trimmed.
Listen, we are either going to grow our viewership on the back of this segment or everybody just tuned out. There's no halfway house. There's no halfway house. I do maintain.
Sherry's look right there, too. That's
Listen, I do maintain that our public wants more of this and less of 50-year-old pickleball, but that's just one man's personal. You know what we haven't talked about in our pod, if you want to talk about it? The DUPR anomaly that came in this weekend.
I'm DUPR dumb. Like, I don't know. I can't get wrapped around my DUPR. Like, I just can't.
People are losing their minds over it.
I know.
So I played this tournament last 2 days, as mentioned, and I had my first matches where I won them, but my DUPR went down.
How did you feel about that?
Just that it's ridiculous.
See, I think it should be. I get that. By the way, I am 100% behind their theory of if you got a bad DUPR and you take a team that's really good, like, for example, to 3 sets and you've overperformed, your DUPR's entitled to go up. You've had a great showing. But the team that won what you would call winning badly, that DUPR should never go down for winning.
You should never go down.
By the way, if they consider you won badly, you get 0.
Yeah.
You get 0. You get nothing.
You still
winning
won.
badly. But you're
not like allowed. Maybe your DUPR doesn't go up. I don't know. Like,
honestly, those are the hardest matches. The matches you're expected to win are the really hard ones.
Of course they are.
So you should get some, kind of like bonus
they showed
points.
there was somebody posted something and it literally showed this guy who had like a 4-5 and his partner was like a 3-8 and they played a 5-2 and a 4-5 and the 5-2 and the 4-5 win 11-5 in a 1-set match or whatever it was. The team that won's DUPRs went down half a point. The team that lost went up half a point.
Yeah,
they won 11-5.
It's just I don't know. Like, A win and win is a lose is a lose. I can't buy into DUPR.
Yeah. It'll get resolved. Dane Gingrich is beating the drum pretty hard on
He
his
has.
social media. So, and he says that there are other companies working on algorithms that will please
Oh.
the pickleball masses.
But here's the thing with all this stuff. Possession is 9/10 of the law. And I don't care how good new softwares are that come out, the people that are there first. It's like eBay. How many other people tried to come out and take on eBay years ago? Where are they today? Once you're there, you're not going to unseat whatever it is, 8 million matches. You're 8 million behind before you start. That's a long place. That's a long way to get people suddenly engaged with your new.
And the other thing too is it's not like a choice. Like I can't prevent matches from going to DUPR. DUPR's, they get sucked in, and so. Anyway.
I'm just hoping one day my DUPR will be satisfactory that at my local club I'm allowed to play.
You can play open play.
Court. I'm not allowed to. I'm not good enough to play 5-0 open play at my local club.
That's so great.
And we laugh about it every time.
Have you shown them? Just get a collection of your clips, your solid gold.
Just give them some golden porn.
So we did have a throwback where, court-wise, we had we had one team battle that had only 2 designated courts, so it was really fun again to have a little bit more break between matches and be able to cheer, be able to coach a little bit. And then actually Sunday afternoon, unfortunately, there was a roof leak, so one of the courts, so we had 2 courts again, and it was great. But it's hard to balance out because I really want to move quickly. I want to be able to catch a flight Sunday night, and at the same time, it is nice to engage and really see what's going on with our team and be able to coach and cheer.
Yeah, I mean, I really miss engaging. I miss the 2 courts. I love the 3 courts. I love getting done, but I feel like I've played my matches. I've watched pod 1. I'll try to hop over to pod 2 or pod 3 to see if I can coach or cheer them on, but it's so brief because I'm back on my court relatively quickly.
I don't think anybody should play back-to-back. I don't think anybody should potentially play a 3-set match, walk off the court and walk straight back on the court, which you now have to do. Somebody is always going to play back-to-back on a team.
Yeah.
And I think that devalues the next match.
Well, I mean, I think it's actually relatively common. Like you play in an APP tournament, like sometimes you have, like if your match went long and the other team won in like no time, like sometimes you literally have 5-10 minutes and you're back on.
But this isn't 5-10 minutes. This can literally be stay on and start. And again, an APP situation is slightly different. You're playing for yourself. Win, lose, or draw, you are playing for yourself. Here, you're playing for more than yourself. You're playing for your team. There are other people that are affected by a decision. And I'm just pointing out that I think that if we're going to run a single court, which if we say we like the way it moves quickly, which I don't disagree, and if we like that, then I think perhaps something the league needs to consider is when a minimum amount of time between matches for the back-to-back players. I mean, it wouldn't take a lot to say, right, you can have okay, we're going to run the court again. You can have a 20-minute break. Or nobody should ever walk onto a court without having had a warm-up. Again, that nobody should walk onto a court having sat for an hour or 2 hours and then
that's the hard part.
And start. That again devalues. I had to do that. That devalues, the brand. That devalues the product that you're putting on the court. Again, for the supporters that you're trying to get through the doors to support and watch what we're putting on the courts.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, if we play the women's first, and then you play the men's, and then you play 1B, and then 1A. So there's quite a bit of time in between that time. But luckily the facilities that we have been at, we've been able to go find a court and hit for like 20 minutes before we go on.
It's funny because I played a tournament the last 2 days, and having come off the NPL weekend where, when the ref arrives, you do the paddle touch and then you start. We were able to warm up. If we had a little bit of a break, we were able to warm up, and then the ref arrives and it's like, okay, you have 3 more minutes. And I found myself wanting to just get going.
Should there be paying customers who are paying to watch this versus us just playing for ourselves? It's not quite the same argument. Us making decisions for ourselves, you live and die by the rules of what it is. So that's fine. But we are not building the NPL based on what's best for us. You're ultimately building the NPL for fans and sponsors and bringing in revenue.
Yeah, but
That is what you're
I don't know.
trying to build.
I totally disagree because I think I think it's not uncommon that a team who's been sitting for an hour and a half comes back out. A team that's just finished a match, they've won, so they're on a roll, they're warmed up. That they often win that. So I don't
tell me any professional sports, CB, and you can pick anything you like, anywhere in the world where any professional player plays their match and then's on the court again 5 minutes later, where there's paying customers to see it.
Well, no, but the NPL can't do that format. I mean, they can't do like the way the PPA does it.
But you're
they're doing it
building
for the pros, APP.
But you're building a brand. I'm thinking from the business side of this, not from our side of it for a moment. You're building a brand. You want people to pay their money to come and watch the brand. The only way your brand is going to compete with some of the other brands that are out there is to provide the best matches possible.
Are they even going to start charging for entry?
I think they have to start charging for entry.
How are you ever going to make any money, CB, if you don't start thinking about revenue?
We have to, like, in Denver, if nobody start small, like nobody would have batted an eye if they had to pay $10 to get in. Just you got to start somewhere,
Yeah.
And then make like eventually, if they get some money, they can put some stands, like they can put some bleachers up. I think we had some like one time in Columbus. Like there has to be some sort of ambiance that's created.
Yeah, but I don't know that.
Place.
I mean, how much time do you want to give them, Daniel? I mean, I think if we're saying we want
10 minutes,
even
I'm not talking about a lot of time. I'm just talking about enough time to just decompose and then get yourself ready for the next one. And I'm not saying you're wrong in what you say.
I bet if you actually put a stopwatch to it, I don't think there's any team that doesn't get 10 minutes between.
Yeah,
I don't think there's.
I agree with that. Like I know that Carrie, my partner, was cramping a little bit before the mix, and she got like a full treatment. She got a banana. I went and got her a sleeve for her leg. Like it was a good tip. And nobody else was saying anything. The other team was warming up. Somebody was warming up, Chad. Like it kind of just resolved itself.
It maybe feels like you don't if when the ref arrives you actually start and you don't get that additional 3 minutes. But I don't. I mean, because going from playing women's to 1B mix, like I've had that back-to-back turnaround, even with long matches, and I have not yet had that feel stressful.
When it started was that the moving of the courts stops you watching your teammates and helping your teammates, which I think it hurts the team. And then on the second bit, it then came down to, and if you move it too quickly, you're not actually allowing yourself to put the best product on the court, which I'm thinking down the road. I'm not thinking about now. I'm just thinking down the road. It's all about the product. It's all about everybody being able to showcase. Remember, at the end of the day, we're just 50-year-old pickleball competing against young guys that are sexier, faster, and, better looking.
Better looking than Daniel Gold.
So I'm constantly trying to figure out how to make us be able to compete with that from a business standpoint more than a product standpoint. Because I don't ever want this to go away.
I don't think it's going away. I think people are increasingly excited. 49-year-olds coming in. There's so much excitement about NPL.
I think we also need to put a new rule, and we should ban anybody from playing who's not already in the league.
I want to go younger. I think we should get 45, maybe even 40-year-olds in the league.
No, see, you're wrong. I think unless you physically die or lose a limb, and then you sort of age out. It's like waiting for a season ticket, someone to die before we can go watch.
Did you put it in your will? Yes. I'm going to will this person in.
You bequeath the spot. You bequeath kind of
like a fraternity or a sorority. It's right.
It's like the Supreme Court. It's a lifetime appointment to an NPL team.
See, and that's I think. I don't think any of these 49-year-olds that are, because as we get a year older and they get a year younger, this thing gets harder.
Hey, you guys, I got to sign off. I got to go to lunch. So
you told me 3:30 you were going to lunch. It's 3:23.
I know. I see my husband getting restless.
Okay. All right, Daniel, we lost Molly.
I think we can accept that this podcast has now moved to a higher intellectual level now that Molly's no longer here.
It's like the DUPR equivalent.
Yes.
We had a loss, but our DUPR went up. Our podcast DUPR just went up.
So what do we want to finish up with for our viewers? What would they like to
Well, I think you were spot on that OKC. I was spot on from preseason that Naples was gonna get it figured out. OKC is still strong. All the teams are still super strong, considering that in Houston there were, I think, 7 of the 12 team battles were 7-5, 6-7. Right now the standings are such that 3 teams are 7-5, 3 teams are 5-7, OK 6-6. So it's still anyone's game and gonna be. So Austin, I cannot wait for Austin. It's gonna be so fun to have everyone together.
It will be it'll be very, very cool and see what shakes out there. Hopefully David George, of course, will remain injured for the foreseeable future. And that my team aren't smart enough that if he, God forbid, was injured, that they wouldn't bring in somebody a bit more talented than myself to actually play with Daryl. So I need 2 things to happen. I need David to stay injured, and then I need Julie and Daryl to not realize that there are actually some far more talented people out there that they could bring in to play with Daryl than myself. And should all of those stars align, then I'm ready. But on the off chance that they figure this out, and please God, David actually, all jokes aside, is good to go.
Yes, and Scott.
Scott's already
Scott Johnson, Scott Fliegelman, David.
Scott Johnson's already feeling good. He was out playing yesterday,
Good.
so I believe that he's feeling better.
Great.
But yes, so honestly, I joke about this, but losing David George on our team is a ginormous loss, and I'll never admit this publicly, even though I'm on a public podcast, that I really hope he makes it back, because am I lying? Am I not lying? I can't quite work it out.
Well, he can come back. You just want him to play pod 2.
I didn't think about that. Maybe even pod 3 might be a better place for him. Coming back from an injury.
Yeah. He should. Yeah.
You just can't lose anyone to injury. I don't care whether it's pod 3, pod 1, pod anything. It's these are big shoes to fill. And now even Boca having to replace Mercer. You can't fill these things. Yes, people will win and there'll be other results, but these people do leave voids when they're not playing.
Right. Yeah. It's more than just on the court.
Okay, so we need to be continued. And anyone who's watched this, if you would like to send in the porn of your great shots over the course of this weekend.
Yes, we definitely want to see the highlight reels.
I mean, obviously we know John Hedberg. He does listen to this, I believe. So I'm expecting a minimum 15 to 20 highlight reels of his. The question is, will anybody try to rival the Hedberg porn? I challenge the people that listen.
Yes.
Give us more porn than Hedberg. # more porn than Hedberg. That's our new saying as we leave.
I like it. All right.
You have a great holiday. It's been fun.
Likewise. All right.
Be continued. Bye.
See you.